Hi, my name's Nikolai, aka 56 Miner, and today we're unboxing our May Basics box. This month's box is all about gouache. We'll go over some foundations of the medium, talk about the materials in our box, and I'll share some tips and tricks that I picked up while working with them. Let's get into it. For our surface this month, we have a custom Toscano pad from the Magnani company. This rough textured cotton pad is perfect for gouache. For our paint, we have a 3-set of the Savoir Faire opaque watercolor gouache in cobalt blue, burnt sienna, and yellow ochre. For our brush this month, we have a SketchBox signature tri-wedge in a size 8. It's an incredibly versatile brush that we're excited to share with you this month. Now, what makes gouache such an interesting medium is that there's a lot of versatility to it. You'll notice that gouache is going to dry flat, so there won't be any shine to it, and it's really opaque straight out of the tube. But we can still dilute it so it acts more like a watercolor. When mixing colors, dark colors tend to dry a little bit lighter, and light colors tend to dry a little bit darker. Let's grab our cobalt blue and our yellow ochre and mix up a nice green color, using a little bit of water to thin it out. We'll use this transparent green to explore the different shapes that our brush can make. By using a light hand, we can stamp our brush and create kind of a teardrop shape. And by slightly rotating our brush and stamping down the belly of the brush, we can create a petal shape with a single stroke. And thanks to how wide the belly of that brush is, it can hold a lot of pigment. Now, I typically find gouache a little bit more forgiving than watercolor, as you can still push that pigment around with the tip of the brush. Building off that last stroke, we can create a simple clover by rotating our brush as we press down. And if you're new to brushwork or just new to a wedge brush, I definitely suggest taking a scrap piece of paper and just practicing some strokes until you get comfortable. This brush does have a bit of a learning curve, but it's super rewarding once you get comfortable with it. And you can always clean things up with the tip, and you'll just want to use a very light hand. I've had the most success creating thin lines by flipping the brush upside down, and we can always lay it on its side if we're trying to make thicker lines. Dragging our brush at an angle will create a simple leaf shape, and we can also twist it to get that shape like we talked about in our January videos. Slow and steady is the name of the game when it comes to brushwork like this, so make sure to be patient with yourself if this is new to you. Our next tube of gouache is going to come from the Caran d'Ache company, and it's going to be their white gouache. Now, mixing the white with our other colors will allow us to create a series of tints. Tints are just any color that you add white to. By using white in combination with a little bit of that water, we're not only creating a lighter color, but we're also creating a color with high opacity, so it's going to look more like traditional paint versus watercolor. While a wedge brush is super versatile, it definitely lends itself to floral painting. Here I'm going to use the side of our brush and our technique from before to create the side profile of the flower. And taking the darker tint that we mixed, we can add a petal to the front side, which will help to create an illusion of three-dimensionality. Working in tints like this is really common in gouache, and you can see it a lot in children's book illustration. Now for our next technique, we're going to load our brush with 2 different colors of paint. By loading our brush with the light tint and then just dipping the tip in the burnt sienna, we can create a really nice gradient effect on our brush. For a tighter gradient, try reducing how much water you mix into that first color. Now if you're a fan of outlines or details, gouache can definitely do that, but it's important that you let that first layer dry, otherwise your colors will bleed. Let's grab the next item in our box, the Copic Multiliner in Cobalt. Fine liners like this are great as they offer us a consistent line with minimal line weight variance. I really enjoy using fine liners for pattern work and sketching out my concepts. Thumbnailing is a great way to hone your idea without jumping into paint too quickly. And thanks to the opaque nature of our gouache, we can always go in and fully cover those lines. To make softer gradients and transitions, try adding more water to your brush and smoothing out that paint. Now that we've got a good understanding of our materials, let's go ahead and open up our Magnani pad. I'm going to be using the mechanical pencil from February to break that adhesive on the edges, but you can also do this with a butter knife. Once I've broken the majority of that adhesive, I'll go ahead and peel off the top and just wipe away any fibers that might have come off of the lid. Let's apply everything that we've learned so far into creating a simple floral illustration. Having mixed a nice muted purple using our cobalt blue and the burnt sienna, we'll go in and start to build out a flower. We included a round canvas this month to make things a little bit easier, so make sure that you rotate it to whatever position is the most comfortable for you. As you're working, if you find that your gradient isn't showing up as much as you'd like, make sure to re-dip your brush into that darker color. This will help to maintain that gradient, but you can always go back in and darken the center of our flowers after that initial layer is fully dry. And since we're creating these flowers with a series of single strokes, make sure to take your time and to be patient with yourself as you work through these petals. By rotating our brush a bit, we can get more of a sense of movement, and the only real rule here is to make sure that you have the same amount of petals on each of your flowers. Otherwise, just take your time and have fun. If you're looking for something that's more of a challenge, you can try incorporating different colored flowers, flowers at different angles, or layer them to create a bouquet effect. I'm pretty happy with my flowers, so I'm going to go in with a loose green color. And I'm going to keep this very thin, that way we can get some of the transparency that's so fun with gouache. Using just the tip, I'll go in and create some flower stems, and add another leaf to that center one. As a final touch, I'm going to bring back our Copic multi-liner and add a few stigma to the center of our flowers. You'll want to make sure the gouache is fully dry before going in and doing this. And if you find that some paint is sticking to the tip of your fine liner, you can wipe it off with a bit of paper towel. That's all for this month's video. Hope you enjoyed it, learned a few things, and if you post your work online, make sure you use #SketchBoxMay. We love seeing what y'all create each month. And if you want to check out any of our previous videos, head over to our YouTube channel where you can like and subscribe. And I'll see you next month.